in sometime in April. But just watch the announcement section, and we will keep you posted. This is a very unprecedented situation. I hope all of you are staying safe and staying healthy, and are being productive in the confines of your own homes. So I wish you all the very best of health in these very trying times. Good evening, Abhishek. It's very difficult, yes. Dr. Shruti, are you a medical doctor or PhD doctor? Doctor, a PhD holder.
No, ma'am, I'm PhD holder.
Okay. It's very difficult for everybody these days. So, yes, please ask me questions. Ma'am, for assignment, I have login and again on links. Shruti, regarding assignment questions, please send us an email and we will respond to you there. If you submitted only one assignment, we'd have to see. You need a minimum score for the in your assignment. So we'd have to see what's going on there. Okay. Jayati wants me to explain the Kaplan-Norton scorecard. Okay, let me pull it up. Do you have the slides with you? I'll refer to a slide number. Just a second. Huh? Okay. See, the Kaplan and Norton balanced scorecard is very, what you do is you have these 4 columns on the scorecard, and you enter, in these 4 columns are named as this is This slide is called Kaplan and Norton Balanced Scorecard. I can't embed it in the system. So what you do is in the first column, you write down, you quantify the employee learning and growth. And you write down the number of programs you have, the hours of training you've given to the employees, etc. So you quantify the information you have regarding employee learning and growth. How many hours of training, number of programs, number of or the quantum of funds spent, etc. Then in the second column, you write down the internal processes that were involved in facilitating that particular aspect of employee learning and growth. I have seen a physical scorecard. I'm sorry, I don't have one with me to show you right now. But then it's very interesting. So on the top, you write down the actual the activity for which you are, or the project, or the particular exercise for which you're making the scorecard. Then, so or the particular time period. Then you write down in the second column, you write down the internal processes, which include the participation rates, completion rate, process time. So you quantify the internal processes that were involved in facilitating these particular programs or in connection with these programs. In the third column, you write down how much of an impact it had on the people who went through these particular programs. So the customer, the employees become your customer at this point. And not the employees. I'm sorry. So how much of an impact did these programs have on your customer satisfaction? Why do you conduct these programs? To satisfy your customers, to enhance value for your customers. So you quantify your stakeholder satisfaction in terms of the feedback you've received, the reviews you've received, the reactions, the number of complaints, the number of complaints resolved, the number of lawsuits, etc., and the perceived value for your customers. Then in the last column, you write down financials. Okay, so that is the financial aspect of the scorecard. You write down the cost of human capital. After all, people who went through this training would have missed out on some amount of work. And so, how much did that cost the company? So that is the cost of human capital. Cost of program, how much did the company spend in addition to the work that was being lost? Cost of processes, how much did the company spend on calculating participation rates? So, that is all that comes in your costs. And ROI means return on investment. What was the eventual output? So you put in so many hours of work into this, and so you have these various aspects of the scorecard, which is your employee learning and growth, your processes, your customer aspects, financial aspects, and so you put in all that, and then you come up with a cost benefit analysis of how much did it cost you to run these programs for employee learning and growth. What were the processes involved? Did it result in customer satisfaction or not? If not, then how much did you lose if it resulted in customer satisfaction? What was your revenue? So did you really gain anything out of investing in employee learning and growth? And that is what the scorecard is all about. Okay. Jayati, does that answer your question? Dual system and mixed system, which part of the presentation are you referring to? Abhishek is asking, please explain the difference between dual systems and mixed system. Dual system and mixed system of what? Okay, let me just pull up the. I'll have to pull up the relevant slide. Okay, so you're talking about international labor relations and you're talking about systems of co-decisions. Okay, so in that, yes, Abhishek, yes, I've got it. Okay, the dual system refers to a system in which the supervisory board consisting of one for every three employees supervises the board of directors. Uh, so in this, the supervisory board, which means that the employees oversee the decision that the board of directors has taken. They don't oversee it, but they have an equal say. They can challenge, they can question the decisions that the board of directors has taken. So they have an equal participation in the decision making or the decisions that are made by the board of directors. In a mixed system, they just listen to what the board of directors is deciding, but they only advise them if they are really sort of not following the law, or if they are uh, 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 they are uh, doing something, if they are doing something that is not within the norms and policies of the organization. Otherwise, they don't have an equal say in the decision making process. They only advise the board of directors in case there is some problem, some legal problem, some normative problem, some policy related problem with the decisions that are being taken by the board of directors. They are there only in the advisory role in a mixed system of co-decisions. So the difference lies in the level of participation of the employees. Does that answer your question, Abhishek? Okay, thank you. Okay. Seems Swarna Limki has joined the discussion. Welcome to the discussion, Swarna. Swarna Lim KJ. Swarna Lim. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Please forgive me. Good evening. Please switch off your audio and please write your question. Thank you. Yes, I'm still waiting. Okay. Swarna says I'm not clear about the participation rate and the completion rate in the Norton and Kaplan balance scorecard. Okay. See, in the participation rate. Okay, let me just pull it up and I'll just explain this to you. Now, see, in the internal processes, we have a rate of participation, which means how many people join the programs. You may have training programs for all your employees or for certain number of employees, but many people do not participate. Many people opt out for one reason or another. They are not able to complete the program, especially for essential training programs like switching over to a new technology. And so participation rate is how many people join in, and completion rate is how many people actually complete the program successfully. So how many people finish the program well in in such a way that they are able to understand everything that has been taught. So some kind of a an evaluation or assessment system is put in place in these training programs or in these employee learning programs, as we call them. And there is also a benefit that comes out of it. So a completion rate will mean how many people successfully completed the program. And then you will also see how many people actually used what they had been taught in their work. So all of that comes in the completion rate, of course, means how many people successfully completed this program. But then that will be the output of this program, the internal processes eventually when you take stock of the situation as to how many people were able to successfully use this. Now, that may not be very easy to quantify. However, completion rate can be quantified. For example, your own course, this course. Many of you join the course, yes? But there's a significant number of students or participants who don't complete all the assignments. There's a significant number of participants who join the course and then ultimately do not end up taking the final examination. So that is the difference between participation rate and completion rate. How many students in the, for example, how many students in the NPTEL program of Principles of Human Resource Management actually finish the course and complete the course and then submit all the assignments or submit enough assignments to be assessed and also end up taking the final examination. That is the difference between participation rate and completion rate. Is that clear, Swarna? Welcome back, Jan Bemo. I believe you participated in the previous. You're welcome, Swarna. So, Jan Bemo, you participated in the previous session also, if I remember correctly. Welcome back. Swarna says, Madam, could you please highlight some of the emerging research areas on human resource management? I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to do that. My research area is has very little to do with the human resource management. My current area of work has very little to do with human resource management. So I'm not very aware, but you could, one way of identifying some emerging research areas is to go to Google Scholar and go through the latest papers on human resource management and look at the limitation section. What you can try doing something that the other researchers were unable to do. Okay, Swarna. So that's my answer to you. If you have access to research papers, you could go through the limitation section and see what people were not able to do, and maybe you could take that up as your research question. That's a very uh, very clear cut, very obvious way of finding gaps in any field. All right. You're welcome, Swarna. Swarna, am I pronouncing your name right? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Is it Swarna or Swarnalim? Swarnali. I'm so sorry. That's such a pretty name. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part of the course and for being online today. I hope you're all safe. Yanbemo, I am assuming you're from Ghana. Yes. How is the situation in Ghana? I hope you're all safe and healthy. Oh, you're from India. I'm sorry. Which part of the country are you based in? And I hope the situation is under control. And I'm asking this, I'm not trying to distract you from the Nagaland, beautiful place. I've been to Nagaland. It's a very, very beautiful place, and the people are so nice and so wonderful there. I belong to the other end of the Himalayas. I know the conversation is moving towards a very personal conversation for want of questions. I don't have a list of questions, so I belong to the other end of the Himalayas. So yeah, there is a So I hope you're all safe and I hope you're all healthy. This pandemic has put all of us in a, it has redefined this situation for us. And I'm sure, Swarnali, newer areas and newer concerns regarding uh, human resource management are going to come up as a result of this pandemic, this crisis that the whole world is going through. Yes? Yanbemo. Oh, wonderful. This is your fifth NPTEL course. That's excellent. Congratulations. So you really like this system, huh? That's very nice. Great, fantastic. We feel privileged and even humbled at the outreach of our courses. You know, we feel privileged that we are able to reach so many people in so many areas all over the country. And now, of course, we've had students from Ghana participating here. So so the it's amazing how technology has helped us connect with people from so many different parts of the country, places where people do not have access to resources. This technology has helped us reach such people and contribute a little towards their urge to learn something new. So third course from IIT KGP, fantastic, Yanbeo. That's very nice. Wonderful. Well, please keep taking these courses. We are doing this to connect with students, with committed students like you. Yes. Lovely. So I'm still waiting for your questions. Is the audio clear? Perfect. Thank you, Swarnali. I do not seem to have access to the questions that you have asked. So, privately through there's some gap in communication. So I was not able to access the questions that you may have asked through the Google form that was circulated. So if you don't mind repeating those questions, I'll be very grateful. Yanbomo asks, what is the use of the balanced scorecard? See, as the name suggests, the balanced scorecard helps you balance the input into the organization with the output of the organization. So how much are you spending? It helps you establish a cause and effect relationship between the resources and the output. A cost benefit relationship can be established with the use of the balanced scorecard. You can find out which aspect you are focusing on more and which aspect you're focusing on less. Kaplan and Norton balanced scorecard says that everything must be done in conjunction with the vision of the organization. So you keep the vision in the center, and the different aspects of the balanced scorecard are sort of centered around it. And so, keeping in mind the vision of the organization, you're able to assess what is, what is going in and what is coming out. That is the use of the balanced scorecard. It helps you quantify the processes, the inputs and outputs of the organization, and that way um, uh, uh, you can economize on the inputs and maximize on the output. Swarnali says, I've also enjoyed the course thoroughly. We've enjoyed having you, Swarnali. Thank you so much. We are glad we could help. Jan Memo, does that answer your question? Great, thank you. Okay, I'm still waiting for your questions. So if you have asked a question earlier, please repeat it if you don't mind. I will answer your questions. Since we have some more time, I don't know how successful I will be with this, but if possible, I will try and have another session. No promises at this point, but since your exam is scheduled for the last week of April, as far as I know, I will try and have another session before your exams. Okay, I'll try. No promises. Yes. You know what? Maybe I could start this topic of discussion on the forum where uh, you all could contribute your own opinions about what could be the human resource issues that are now coming up as a result of this major crisis that the world is facing. And you could come up with ideas and we could mull over those ideas, and maybe you could take up some of those ideas for your own research. Will that be good? Do you think you would want to do that? Because the whole world is facing something that it has not faced in a very, very long time. Yan Memo says, Madam, why is live session not conducted in YouTube? That was an option, but this time, because of the lockdown, I'm sitting in my own on-campus apartment. Today it was not held via YouTube because we were scrambling. The decision to lock down all the offices was taken by the authorities just yesterday. And so this, our NPTEL team has been working tirelessly 24/7 to make sure that the information gets to you. We had the YouTube option, but we were able to operationalize it only very late this evening. So that option became available to us only around 5:30-ish today. So that is why we had to use this route. But that option is now on, and in that, of course, it's similar to this. It's going to be like the old session. We were not able to activate that option well in time. So that is probably the reason. But because everything was happening so fast, things were shutting down. There were major constraints. So this was the most readily, most easily available method that we could use without actually going to a studio. I think maybe, I can suggest this to our NPTEL team to make a kind of a video showing you how much of work goes into planning for and preparing these lectures that we deliver to you. For you, it just seems to be a person sitting in front of a camera and talking, but there's so much of work that goes into this, you cannot even imagine. There is preparation at the level of the NPTEL team. There is preparation on the level at the level of the professor concerned. We deliver our lectures. After we deliver them, there's a considerable amount of editing that goes on, and they remove all the noise, all the oohs and ahs and pauses, and that goes on. Then there is there's a whole lot of work that goes on there, and staff there usually works overtime to make sure that the lectures get to you in the form that they get to you. So sometimes much better job than one would expect them to do under the circumstances. And that is why, this seems to be the most easily available option to them. This was something that they had experienced with earlier. This was something that the concerned faculty found very easy to deal with. And so this is something that was communicated to us. And, I came to know just yesterday that we would have to conduct a session using this software. And I said, all right, the instructions came to me in the morning. And luckily, everything worked just fine. And we are sitting here talking. So next time, of course, YouTube is an option. And we will definitely consider it. That option is now available to us as a backup plan in case this doesn't work. Jan Memo, are you uncomfortable with this method, or are you finding it difficult to continue with this particular portal? Any difficulties you're facing, please let us know. So we'll fix them and we'll find a solution together. Okay. Vibhas Kumar Dey has also joined. Vibhas, please turn off your microphone. Oh, great. You're comfortable. It's okay. Fantastic. Vibhas, please turn off your video and your microphone. Please turn off. Vibhas, please turn off your video and your microphone. Please turn off your video as well. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Dey, what can I do for you? Okay, Swarnali says, Madam, which is the most appropriate method of performance appraisal nowadays? All kinds of things are coming up, Swarnali. As far as performance appraisal is concerned, there are companies that are doing the 360-degree performance appraisal. There are companies that do once a year kind of annual performance appraisal. There are companies that have peer review as part of the appraisal process. So it just depends on what the focus of the company is, what they want to get out of their employees. Now, in our case, our performance is recorded online. So, any papers we publish are available through the journals, and those links are automatically communicated to our institution. And any projects that we undertake are automatically recorded in our enterprise resource planning system. So our activities are anyway recorded in the in the systems that govern our that our administration is using, and so the most of the data is taken from there, and then of course we submit our own. We have a self-appraisal system where we are supposed to report any activity that is not covered there or that has somehow not been recorded through that system. So it varies from organization to organization. It varies from context to context. Abhishek says, Madam, please discuss translating vision and strategy for perspectives framework given by Norton and Kaplan. Okay. Where did my slides go? Let's see. Somehow I seem to have 1 minute. Huh? Yes, Abhishek, I'm just pulling up the relevant slides. Jan Bemo says, Madam, can you explain to us what might be the impact of HRM function due to ongoing COVID? There is a humongous impact, Jan Bemo. Let us take this discussion on up on our discussion forum. I just received a message in one of the chat groups that I'm on, and that message talked about the businesses that are suffering because the government has ordered a complete lockdown, and so some the businesses are suffering, and they're saying, okay, what will happen to us? Okay, Hussa, please switch off your video and your microphone. I think we are running out of time. Abhishek, I'll just respond to your question. So we'll take this discussion there. You asked for the perspectives of Kaplan and Norton. Okay, so Abhishek, you asked, translating vision and strategy for perspectives framework given by Kaplan and Norton. If you look at the slide that is labeled as balanced scorecard, you will see that vision and strategy are in the center, and you have the different perspectives all around it. So you have the financial perspective, the customer perspective, the people perspective, and the operational perspective. And so what we do in this balanced scorecard is, and if you see the financial, the customer perspective, how do our customers view us? And this is assessed by the quantification of the customer satisfaction experience or the customer's experience with the organization. How our employees contribute is assessed through the employee performances, employee appraisal, and of course the learning, etc., that goes into the employee training that goes in. Operational perspective is assessed by the issues that are dealt with or the processes that the company goes through. So the amount of money that is spent, the number of hours that are spent, etc. And financial perspective, how do we satisfy our shareholders? So what goes in and what comes out. Now we plan everything we plan in an organization, keeping in mind the vision and strategy of the organization. What is the ultimate goal of the organization? For example, the goal of an institution like IIT Kharagpur or any institute of higher education is to impart education. And so we try, whatever we do, we feel that our first responsibility is to our students. Whatever we do must result in some knowledge dissemination, some transfer of technology, something that we can share with the world. We work very hard to understand newer ways of doing things, to create new knowledge so that the knowledge can be taken and given to the different stakeholders. And our primary and most important stakeholders are students like yourself. Okay, so this is what so the strategy of the organization. How are we going to do this? We're going to keep up with the times, we're going to keep abreast with the latest information, we are going to do whatever is required in order to do our jobs, or to create new knowledge and disseminate it, etc. So all of these perspectives contribute to the vision and strategy, and they are decided in conjunction with the vision and strategy of the organization. They don't happen in isolation. Everything is assessed in light of the vision and strategy of the organization. That is the translating vision and strategy for perspectives framework given by Kaplan and Norton. Now, I think we have run out of time, and so at this point, I will have to stop the discussion. It is past 7 o'clock right now. And thank you very much for participating, all of you. HP, I'm sorry, we are out of time. I see you, but you'll need to switch off your video, audio. Please ask your questions on the forum and we'll try and respond to them as soon as possible. Okay, we have to switch it off. Sorry about that. Okay, I will try, I promise you, I will try and arrange for a session. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I will try and have another session with you before, a live session with you before your final exam. All right. So wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for being a part of the course. Please stay safe. Please stay out of danger in this very trying time. Yes. Okay, bye-bye.